You can literally build a business today, not even being seen if that's not your jam. So you can. With good copy and good offers, you can do it. So there's faceless ones, there's ones where people just are doing a video of a cup. I mean, it doesn't even matter what it is. Like I've had some where people are just like showing their cup or showing them do a drink and that's their reel, but then they have strong copy and people are flooding into their DMs. When you share your life and you share it from like an authentic place, people tune in. And when you do it from a curiosity place, like you're like, hey, something's coming, or I'm so excited for dot, 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 whatever. And then you lead to the next story, it keeps people watching. And as people watch your stories, again, your engagement goes up and your stories are more shown to more people within your network. So you're always selling. And that's, I mean, think about it. Like, how many offers are you making? If you're not making offers, you're probably not making very much money. And offers can be made in so many different ways: paid ads, stories, reels, word of mouth, but are you making them? You need to make sure that you're making them. So stories is another way that you can do it.
If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer Podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now let's get to it with today's guest. Welcome, Digital Trailblazers. I am pumped for this conversation today with Amy Sanders. We met earlier this week in a different forum, and I had to bring her on the show because she is doing some really awesome things when it comes to reels and stories, and she is got all the goods on how to teach you how to do the same thing. So I'm super excited to have with you, Amy. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. And it was amazing when we met just earlier this week. We're like, hey, let's do this again. Okay, why not? Let's go. So I'm excited to be here. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. So now tell people a little bit about what you do and like where all this started for you before we get into all the details of the strategy.
Gosh, where it all started for me was like forever ago, but I'll do my best. So I help women, especially female entrepreneurs, with mindset mixed with strategy, business strategy. And I love working with a female entrepreneur because she wants more. She like knows that there's this burning desire to do more, be more. But a lot of times she gets a little stuck, especially with getting herself out there. And so through the mindset strategy that I use mixed with actual marketing strategies, we're able to just help her get her business off the floor if it's brand new, or also if she's stuck and she wants to she's plateaued, help get her past that glass ceiling. And my background, I've been a serial entrepreneur for a long time, over 20 years. I've created me, myself, not including my husband, because we do a lot of work together as well. But I've created 5 successful businesses. And then with him, we've also created a couple more. I love showing women, especially what's possible. I think men do a great job of just knowing that they stand in their power a lot easier than we do sometimes, and they speak their voice. And so I love teaching women how to show up in her power, speak her voice. And it started a long time ago from when I was taught that I wasn't okay to speak my voice at a very young age. And I was shushed a lot. And I was like a big personality, just living really small because I felt like I'd get in trouble anytime I tried to speak up. And so that, in a nutshell, I was so far away from who I truly was. Like self-betrayal was so deep that I said yes to marrying a guy after 3 weeks of dating. My body was freaking out. I was like, no, that I should not do this. This is not good. I don't, but I didn't want him to feel bad. So I said yes to marriage. So that's where, like what in the world? So my story started a really long time ago that ended up in a pretty horrific marriage and divorce. 3 kids later, broke single mom. I'm like, this is not me. What do I believe to be true about me? And so I really had to uncover and ask myself a lot of the questions like, what do I like? Very simple, right? And I say that is where it starts because that's where I built myself up from. And then within a few years, I was living a completely different lifestyle that people dream of. And that's why I'm so passionate about speaking to the women specifically, even though I know you guys like market to men and women, and I do work with men, but the woman, I just want her, especially someone that was where I was at, to know that that's not where you have to stay. So there you go. In less words,
Awesome.
and it's Cliff Notes version. That's my story.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome. So, what is going on in the world today of reels and stories?
Yeah. First of all, they're exciting. So get excited. A lot of people. Now, with that said, I have to say they're exciting. There's so many cool things going on, which we're going to talk about. That's like pretty much all we're talking about today. But with that said, I'm not like a huge social media person. I don't love social media, but what it can do for you and your business, it is, in my mind, a necessary evil, and it can be fun. And I like to make sure that my business is fun, or else I'm not going to do it, right? If it's not like lighting me up, then I'm not going to stick with it. So hopefully today I'll teach some really simple strategies that can help grow people's businesses. But ultimately, the reels and the stories are just a new way to get so many more views on your content and so many new clients. And one thing that's exciting about reels is Instagram is pushing reels, and Instagram and Facebook are connected, right? So when you just connect those, make sure that Instagram just posts to your Facebook as well, you're able to get so much more traction, and you're speaking to everybody. So when you're speaking to everybody and you're really honed in on your messaging, you're able to bring in a lot of people that will start to listen to you that otherwise wouldn't have, because they're not following you. But at that point, they want to, right? And so you have an opportunity there. So you bring people in with your reels, which also you can sell right from your reels. We're going to talk about it. But then from there, you can nurture them with your stories. And those two things are what Instagram is really pushing. Like, they want people to be using stories all the time and reels. And of course, the algorithm is changing all the time, unfortunately. But those are two things that have stuck. Carousels are still doing really well as well. So you can use all of them. But there's some really cool things we could do right in Reels. So do I keep going? Do you have questions before I dive? Okay.
Yeah. So just for those, maybe let's give a little definitions, and kind of for those who aren't big on, let's say, Instagram, maybe they're in the Facebook land or the LinkedIn land. Can you define some of this terminology and where it is on the app and that sort of thing, so they kind of get the idea before we dive into the
Yeah,
details?
good. I appreciate those questions. So reels are just like quick little snippets that you can create, and they're super, super easy to create. So when you go into the app and there's the different at the bottom, like it'll say, do you want to create a story, a post, a reel? You can click on reel, and then it lets you edit it and, do whatever you're going to do in that. And there's a lot going on with reels. Like, people are showing their face in reels. There's also faceless reels. There's faceless posts. So you can literally build a business today, not even being seen, if that's not your jam. So you can, with good copy and good offers, you can do it. So there's faceless ones. There's ones where people just are doing a video of a cup. I mean, it doesn't even matter what it is. Like, I've had some where people are just like showing their cup or showing them do a drink, and that's their reel, but then they have strong copy and people are flooding into their DMs. What in the heck is even happening? But can we get on board? Sure. So you click on that, and then as far as making the reel, they really are simple. And the reels that do the very best are the ones that are short and punchy. So 11 seconds has been proven to be like the best time for a reel. A couple reasons why. So 11 to 30 if you can shoot for it, but you can go longer than that, depending on how juicy your stuff is, right? But 11 seconds, people have to watch it over and over, because a lot of times they don't grasp it all, right? So they watch it over and over, but because it's being watched over and over, even though it's by the same person, Instagram sees that as, oh, people are watching it. And so they show it to more people. And so it actually works a lot stronger, and it's more powerful if you're short, punchy, and just get to the point. And people also consume information like so fast nowadays, right? So it works. So with that reel, knowing that, okay, if I keep it short and punchy, it doesn't have to be anything exciting, then as long as I send them somewhere, it can work for me. So what this looks like is a few different things. You might share you talking. That might scare some people. That might not be their jam. So that's okay. So like I said, you can show a cup and you can have words on top of the reel. Within the reel, you can also, and maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself, I'll just keep talking. You interrupt me with questions if you have them, okay? But inside that reel, you can then say comment, thrive, or money, or whatever it is below on the actual reel and people comment, and then you can send them to an autoresponder that does all of the selling for you after that. It is literally incredible, and it's easy, and it doesn't take very long. So making offers in business, we all have to make offers. It's like business 101, right? You have to make an offer. You have to have a strong offer. You got to actually be marketing and making it. So this becomes your marketing channel. And all marketing works. Paid marketing, like all of it works, but this is just free. It's a free way that takes 15 minutes a day. I mean, maybe 30. And if you do it powerfully, it just continually works for you. So it's super powerful. So you can comment and then you send them to an autoresponder. We'll talk more about that. But to get your reels like really seen, there's a few things you can do. One, I already mentioned, a little shorter. Second thing is choose a song that's hot right now, a trending audio. So if you choose a trending audio, and how you can tell if it's a trending audio is they'll have a little arrow right to the left. Have you guys seen that before, where there's like that arrow? And then use the trending audio. When you use the trending audio mixed with some good keywords, then it's going to go even further. So
That's
from
awesome.
there,
So
yeah,
keywords in the text within the video, like the captions in the video, or keywords within the caption?
yeah, I would do both. Mostly the
Okay.
caption. The caption is what it's going to be looking for, but I would do both, but you can send them like, so you're actually like having a hook, your content, and your call to action in a very short period of time on the video. And then it can also be below. Now, if you have more content, then you're just going to get really catchy. Like you're going to just get, and I wrote down some like really quick ones because I'm like, if I'm recording, I'm probably not going to be as good at just shooting them off. But something, it might look like everything you need to know in this program is in video 1. Doors closed Tuesday. So that might be what it is. Comment whatever below. Heal now below or whatever. So it's like very punchy. And then underneath that, you can go into more detail if you need to. But your hook is going to be powerful if it's words or your voice. Powerful hook, curiosity. Oh gosh, what's in that video? What's going on? I want to know more, so that they will read more below if they need to. But right there in that video, you're saying the call to action. You're saying comment whatever word below. And that word is the keyword that then just goes into the autoresponder. So
Gotcha.
you could do the exact same thing in your stories, which I would say to do. But the stories, you can take them through like a series of 5 or 7 stories saying this, very similar. But the cool thing about a reel is like you can sell to it while also bringing completely new customers into your business at the same time for free. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So getting more exposure, getting exposed to people who've never seen you before, and then also being able to generate leads, being able to move them through to a sale, do all of those things right from Reels. So that's a pretty juicy reason. Those are juicy reasons to actually get serious on creating this kind of content.
Yeah. And really, it doesn't take very long. And that's the thing. Like, it really does not take very long. A lot of people are like, oh, that's so long. You'll have a learning curve in the beginning, but then you're really quick. Before I hit record here with you guys, I was like, oh, I haven't done something yet. So I created something in like just a few minutes. Now, with that said, I have something to say. When you are creating your reel, copy it. So you can save one to drafts, duplicate it, because you can send out the same exact reel next week. Who cares if it's the same thing? It's still going to new people. And so if it worked really, really fast, and that's what you have to do is fell fast, right? It's okay. So this reel didn't do very good. So this one did really, really well. I should put it back out there. People aren't watching our stuff as closely as we think they are anyway. And so put it back out there again as a fresh reel, because it'll most likely do just as well as it did before, maybe even better. And that's more people. So that's another tip that I always do. I always copy my reels, then see how they perform. If they did well, I put them back out. If they didn't, I delete them from my drafts, but always copy it, because it's another easy way to just create fast content later.
Right. Now,
like
just
that.
for some clarification, because I don't really work in this part of our business. This is mostly Leah, but for other people who are like me that don't know anything about reels or highlights or stories and things like that. So reels, are those permanent, or do those disappear after a certain amount of time? Because I think I remember stories disappear after 24 hours. Is that right?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. They stay. Now, because people might not, like in a week or two, they might not be watching them as much. then they might go down, but they're still working for you. And that's why it's so important that people are doing reels, is because it's content that stays, that continually works for you. So say you created an awesome reel like 2 weeks ago, and now it's not getting as many views or something, but then it pops back up because someone saw it and shared it a couple times, and that's all it takes. Now it's hot again, it's going again. So it's like that alone should be the reason why a lot of people are like, I'm all in on reels, because reels, they bring in new people, they stay forever, and they continually work for you.
And our reels, are those vertical format or are those horizontal?
Good question again. Vertical. So my whole life now is vertical because I don't do a lot. I mean, with YouTube and stuff, you got to go horizontal, but just vertical, quick, easy, does not have to be perfect. People don't love perfect anyway. And you'll create some. So within my reels, I always have a combo of things going on. So I'm really into fitness. My whole community knows that I'm into fitness. And so I'm going to post stuff about fitness that have nothing to do, but also everything to do with my business. It means I'm taking care of myself and my body, and I'm being an example, right? But so I do like challenges with my husband, like balance challenges or whatever, because it's funny and people like to see it, and those go crazy. They bring in more people that is still going to be my target market. And so like you can play with them, but that I might, say something about my business within that. But then I'll also have ones that are very specific to like my offers, everything threads, everything makes sense. But then others will just maybe be funny, or just maybe be like a quick little thought that I wanted to share, so you can get really creative with them and see what's going on out in the market and play with it. It can be a lot more fun. I think they're way more fun than stories, but stories also like nurture your audience in a way that other things might not.
Where I know we're going to get into the auto response and like how to, when people comment, what's going to happen, but just some more discussion on that, because it's very similar to what people call a two-step post or a viral engagement post, or there's a lot of different names for it, for just like stagnant posts, like image posts or whatever in Facebook. And then you get people to comment. Now the comments boost the engagement, which boosts the algorithm. So there's a very good reason to have people do this as the call to action. Now within Reels, it sounds like we're going to be moving them into Messenger, but I'm curious, can you like comment back with a link? Is a link active in comments within the Reels?
So the link, kind of. Let me explain.
Okay.
So when you post a reel, you can post for them to be able to comment, or like that there can be a link when you post. But what I do is I say comment like a specific word, and that word triggers the autoresponder, because that's easy. If you're newer, so say you don't have a huge engagement or you don't want to deal with like autoresponders or whatever, if they're still commenting that word, then they still want the information. You can just copy that link over, right? So it's not that big of a deal. But as you publish it, it'll give you the option. Can people send you a message? Like, sure. So you can have that part on if you want it to be on. But really, like for me, I want things to go as quickly as possible and as easy as possible, seamless. I know they're interested, they're hot, So from there, it moves over. You can't just add an automatic link without doing the autoresponder. We can have them DM you directly, message you, that kind of thing.
Okay. So let's say someone just wants to test this out before they go and start setting up an autoresponder or doing anything from more of a technical perspective. If someone comments me or whatever the thing is, right, in the comments, can they just manually go through in the comments and reply to the comment and just drop the link into that replied comment?
Absolutely. Yes. And that's what you would do until you do the autoresponder. And autoresponder is something that can come later. You do not have to do it. But if you don't like to live in social media, I like to say that I am a content creator, not consumer. I create, I get out, right? So if that's you, then autoresponder, like even the one that I use ManyChat, it's free initially for a lot of the features. So like it can be very budget friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So maybe play with this first, and then you do it all manually. And if you feel like you can stick with this strategy, you can do this long term, then invest the time and energy in actually setting up the additional pieces to it. Does that sound like a good plan?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did too. I'm like, does this work?
Okay.
Oh, this is working. Okay. How can I make it work it faster, harder, easier? Simplify my life. Yeah. For sure.
So tell us what happens. What is, for those who are like, I'm hearing autoresponder, but it doesn't sound like it's an email. So let's define it a little bit first, and then we'll get into how to actually set this up or what it looks like.
Okay, perfect. So an autoresponder is basically when someone says a keyword, which is what we're talking about, right? So I've just had a hook, some content, and a call to action. And the call to action, I said money or something. Comment money below. So they comment money, meaning that they want more of that information. And when they put that comment in, the autoresponder will go see that and it'll trigger the autoresponder to then send them the information. Now, this information might be an opt-in to like a free training you're doing. It might be straight to a like low ticket product or item that you're selling. It could be really anything that you're offering, a free gift, a free like lead magnet, whatever it is. But once that trigger word is triggered, then the autoresponder will not only just respond to the text that or that message comment, it's a comment, that comment
Mm-hmm.
underneath it saying, awesome, check your DMs for the link or whatever. So it automatically responds to them and it can do it
Nice.
multiple ways. So you can say, I want it to shuffle between this, like 5 different things so that
Syntax.
it doesn't just always look exactly the same, which is awesome, right? Because it can be
Yes.
your voice, but it also is doing it for you. So it comments there and then
Mm-hmm.
automatically sends them the information to their inbox. Now, at that point, you're collecting their email. Like if once they click on that, depending on what it is, you could be collecting their email. You could be sending them right to your sales page. Like when I have lower ticket items, I
Mm-hmm.
I just send them right to the link. If I'm like, okay, I'm selling them in this reel or in this story, and here's the link,
Mm-hmm.
and then if they buy, great. If they don't, whatever. Like they're still in my world, they're still watching my stuff. At some point, they're going to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. So when so it comments, it replies in a comment to them.
Mm-hmm,
It sends them a direct message with
mm-hmm,
the link.
mm-hmm.
Well, it replies by it sends a DM. Do you always just send the link directly, or are you trying to get them in a conversation, a back and forth? What is the goal? Because there are some strategies that are like, here's a link, and now we're gonna try
Yeah.
to talk you into a sales call, right? And kind of go into that. So how do you use this?
So you can use it in any of those ways. So both of them work. You can do
Mhm.
both of them. I like to keep it simple. So in my world, I usually just send them to my lower ticket items or
Mhm.
my free items because at this point it's like very easy entry. They're now building that know like and trust, and the low tickets you're still making some money off, again, free advertising. It's still building
Right.
your revenue base, right? And then if not, like a lot of my from here, like my funnel looks like if I send them say one of my PDFs or some sort of like lead magnet,
Mhm.
they then have to enter their email. So now I've captured their email. And then on the lead magnet page, this is what I do. Anyone can copy it or say they don't want to. I don't care, but it's what I do. They get my lead magnet mixed with also, if you want to book this free call, there's a bonus right now for this call. This,
Mhm.
and so they get my lead magnet with the option to book a call with me, which would be my higher ticket offers. In this point at the time of this recording, a lot of people are really pushing, you don't have to do sales calls, da, 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 da. And
Mhm.
you don't. It works for some people that you don't ever have to do a sales call. For me, I have a really high close rate with my higher
Mhm.
ticket with sales calls. So I still want to do them. I still do them. They work for me.
Mhm.
And so as long as I feel good about that, I'm like, it's not my sales tactic. Like this is okay for me, right? So it just depends.
Yeah.
But you can really lead them any direction you want. But that's what I do is I'm like, okay, I just captured their email. I offered them to get on a call with me, and also they got my free thing. But now they're in my world.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I really like about this, but one, so I I I don't like social media.
I, I I'm
I
with you. I promise I am all in on get in, get out.
if I could just get like push stuff out, I'm cool with that, right? Like I'll push
Right.
out content, I'll push, but I don't have time to be like in there all day managing stuff and going back
Mm-mm.
and forth. So
No.
that's really what I like about the strategy. Take 15 minutes, create, put out something, put out a reel, and then have it set up so that the rest of it gets handled. They're
Yeah.
commenting, the auto reply commenter is happening to in response. They're getting the thing in Messenger and you're getting them directly to the link where you're not doing the hustle to try to book the call. If you have setters, maybe you could, sure, but
Hmm.
this is very hands off, low hustle. And that's
Exactly.
very, very appealing to me and I think to a lot of people out there.
It's simple. And that's the other thing. So can I dive into some more around being simple? I'm all about
Please.
simple because, okay, I have 7 kids. I got I'm a second marriage here. We don't got time to do all of the things. In fact, I don't want to because my kids, that's already way more of a full-time job than just everything else, right? So it has to be easy for me. So with the reels, I like my content to work as hard as possible for me and to keep working when I'm not working. That's the goal, right? And that's the other thing that's amazing with paid ads because paid ads does that same thing, right? But you are putting money into it. So you got to make sure that that works. And a lot of times, right out of the gate, a lot of people can't afford that initially. So when it comes to the reel, I like to repurpose literally everything. So when I have a punchy reel, something that's, I'm like, oh, I'm proud of this thing. This thing is motivating, it's powerful, whatever. What else am I going to do with it? The content within this reel can become part of my newsletter. It can become an email if I want it to. It can now get posted to my Facebook page with just a picture of me. It doesn't have to be like what the reel was. It's like the words with the picture. It can be put in LinkedIn if you want. It can go to my stories. I just shift it a little bit. And so I make this piece of content work as hard as possible because I'm not going to live on social media. Some people love to consume. That is not me. It'll never be me. However, I do want to use it for the benefit that it can be in my business. And so when I create content, I'm like, how can I repurpose this everywhere? And sometimes it's good enough to where it's like, it can even become some sort of podcast where it's okay. How can this also be that? You know, what can I do with this? And so that's the other thing where I don't love social media. This is not my jam. That is one thing that can make social media truly, truly work for you and just continually go when you're signed off. You're like, I'm out. I also put it in my Facebook group. It goes everywhere.
Yeah. Now you mentioned at one point that the the best length or duration for one of these videos is around 11 seconds
Mhm.
because what you want to happen is that you want people to watch it and then watch it again and you kind of watch it in a loop, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what kind of drives the algorithm that people are watching it multiple times and people want to see it and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
Is there a trick to getting people to watch it again after they've watched it once?
I don't know. I want to know where you're going, but what I'll say is when it's 11 seconds, they can't consume all the information, right? So they like have to reread it and they're like, wait,
Mhm.
what did she say? Oh, wait, is that true? Or, depending on what the thing is, they might be really impressed by it. So one of my reels that I did recently was like a, a handstand, like me and my husband went up into handstands touching our feet. So we had a balance. And that was the real. It's like we balanced with our feet into this handstand from a plank up. And people just was like, how did they do that? So they kept watching it. So you can do something like that where it's, wait, what did they do there? So whether it's their words or whether it's something that they did in the video or whether it's just interesting, then people will watch it over and over. And if it's cool, they'll share it, which is even better, right? It's like our stuff like that gets shared all the time that has nothing to do with my business. But the second that they come, they're like, oh, she's into health, she's into wellness, she's created these businesses. Like it does become relevant. So, and it is also me.
That's where I was kind of going with this was not giving them enough time to process the reel so that they
Yeah.
have to go through it again to catch the part that they really wanted. Because I know that that's what I do. What I watch a lot of is because I do judo. I watch judo throws. And so, whenever I'm watching these things, I'm like, well, why don't they just put it in slow motion so I can see what they're doing at their feet? How did they get, what are they
Right.
doing with the throw? How are they positioning themselves? And so I got to watch it multiple times to take in all that information. And I'm like, okay, well, I know, okay, now I get it. Right. They're not doing that because I have to watch it multiple times. That's the point. Right.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
were to slow it down and make it a longer video and show me exactly what I wanted, I'd only watch it once and I wouldn't watch it again. But
Mm-hmm.
if they cut it off, because I imagine if you were giving a business tip or something like that, and maybe you had 2 or 3 texts that pop up on the screen, like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, and then step 3, here's the secret, and then make that third step like short so they can't read it all like within the few seconds that they have and they have to watch it again to get that third step. Like to me,
Yeah.
that would be the thing that you do to get the people to watch it over and over. Is that kind of where
Yeah,
we're
that
going
is
with this?
that is actually totally on point. Yeah, that's exactly correct. And it's interesting because what you can do is give the steps to like some strong hook, and then this is what's not working or whatever. This
Mhm.
is what they want, right? Some in the
Yep.
content. And then you comment below and there's more information there. I have this friend of mine, and her business is so interesting to me, and she's freaking killing it. She's killing it, and her business is showing moms how to save money on groceries. That's it. And I've known her for a million years. I used to teach her fitness classes, whatever. She actually was assistant of mine like years ago, like 10 years ago. She was one of my assistants. And so it's been fun to see what she's done. But anyway, she just did this reel. I was looking at her stuff earlier today. I was like, hey, what did she just do? She did this reel about how coupons are actually not working the way you think they are. That was her hook. And then it said, for more information, click below. And then you click below and she gives reasons as to why this isn't working. And in the video, she's just like dancing. She's like nothing. It's kind of like the weird dancing, which I'm not totally into, even though I'm a dancer. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But that's all she did. Her comments with that autoresponder is 777. And she posted it yesterday.
Wow.
And the free thing was, and her free thing was like, comment below to get my free guide. It was like just a free guide. But 777 is where it was at this morning. And she posted it yesterday. So.
That's insane. Well, and part of the smart thing too, and I've seen this, is that people will say, I lay it out in the caption, and then you click on the caption and it's hugely long and you're like, oh my goodness. And so you're quickly trying to read it, but then it's looping the reel the entire time. So the reel's going 6 times before you can read through this massive, huge caption. So I know that definitely, it's gotten me several times.
Yeah, and that was too, right? And it's just that it's working the algorithm against itself, which is what we want, because then it just keeps going to more people. And then if people are commenting again, like they're not only commenting, look at the power in this. They're not only commenting, which then makes it go, but they're also then getting sold to at the same time. It's like doing both. It's not just like a post that's getting traction. It's more than that. So it's powerful.
Absolutely. And something that I've seen a few times now, which is I'm always like, ooh, whenever I see it, is they'll start the reel with like red raspberries. And then they'll be like, these are the best antioxidant, but did you know that the number one food that you might not know about is, and the reel actually ends there.
Yes.
And it loops back to the answer. And so they're actually asking a question at the end. And so it seems like you're watching, like it's continuing the video. And then you're like, wait, I just watched this 3 times and it's the same thing.
It's like that curiosity marketing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. So they something at the beginning of the video that at the end of the video, they ask a question. And so it looks like they're answering that question as it loops back into the front. And I was like, smart people.
They're so tricky.
So good. So good.
Yeah, it is interesting all the things you can do, right? And it's as long as you're speaking, and here's the point, is like you do need to be speaking to the person that you want to be selling to, right?
Yeah.
And some 100%. Of my stuff doesn't, but it also is relative. It's always relative, like why, So always be talking about your offers, threading your content to your offers, all those things that we've already learned in all the different ways, but now you're just applying it here.
So I imagine with creating these videos, because you mentioned your friend who had created this video, she was just kind of dancing in the video. And was it just text up on the screen over the dance?
Yep. It was just some text up on the screen. And that was it.
So in my mind, you could just create a bunch of videos like that, or even reuse the same one and just put different text up for different posts. Is that kind of what you're doing to speed up the process?
Yeah, you absolutely can. And that's actually what I did this morning. So I took something that was in my saved, but I wanted the messaging to be different, but the threading was okay. And so I switched out some words to have it go to a different offer and threw it up. That's it. And so it doesn't have to be hard, and the more simple you make it, the more consistent you will be. And when it comes to social media, everything is about consistency. If you're consistently posting stories and you're consistently posting reels, then the algorithm will consistently work for you. And sometimes it changes and it drives us nuts, but then the consistency does stand the test of time. Like just keep going, and then fail fast. It's okay. So this one didn't work. What will this one do? Oh, this one worked well. Let's duplicate it. Let's do it again.
Yep. Absolutely. So do you have a specific structure or template or anything for what to actually put in the caption of the reels?
What I have is a call to action first. Very first thing, it's got to be exciting. Why do they want to keep watching? And then from there, that's where like the body of the content is, which in Reels, it's going to have to be cut down. It's not going to be like a long body form that you might put in like a normal post, but it'll be cut down and then it'll have a call to action at the end, like the comment, whatever, the comment, the word or whatever. But yeah, and like with the Reel, like you can make it look, I'm sure you guys have watched them, right? Like where they look really great and they flow. So you just want it to flow and you're telling a story. That's what everything is stories, right? So if you're telling a story through this Reel of taking them through an experience, and just same thing as the movie, same thing as like other marketing strategies, you're like showing them this experience and why they want more of this. They want more of you. They want more of what you have to offer. But that really is it. If it's a lame call to action, or not lame call to action, but a lame hook, they're not going to watch. You're not going to like snooze balls, or like the, women get on and they're like, all right, guys, so today, I'm like, roll your eyeball, scroll, right? So it's hook them. And then it can be how my client lost 30 pounds in the last 30, or not 30 pounds in 30 days. I hate all those promises that aren't real, right? But let's say like it drives all of us nuts. I know you guys are not into that either, but how my client lost 10 pounds in the last 45 days or something. And then, some tips, or like how you can too, or something like that scraps them. How I took my client from X to X in X number of days. Like clients are results driven, works really, really well. And then also like this one, I just wrote this one down. You've hit a sales plateau and you don't know how to move forward. Good news. Read the caption. That's easy. That's an easy Reel.
Mm.
Super easy. Are you putting the hook in there? Are you summarizing? Are you giving new content? Do you have hashtags, keywords? Like what are we doing there?
Good question. You can do it all. Some of them you might really just say the Reel was enough. And so you might really just say, again, comment below for the details. And that's it.
Gotcha.
Okay. Other times, like this one, just that I just said, you've hit a sales plateau and you don't know how to do, or you don't know what to do. Good news. Read the caption. So in that caption, you're going to take them through the story of you're doing this and this. This is not working. This, don't worry. Like it might be one around, let's say views, because that's a huge thing. People would be like, oh, I have all these views, but no one commented and no one liked. Oh, that means they didn't like my stuff. Actually, that does not mean that they didn't like your stuff. They might just not have commented. They might just not have liked it. Also, because you don't have thousands and thousands of followers, that doesn't mean you can't make a lot of money. Like all of that. So you can debunk all of that in that caption and then show them like, this is what you can do. Or I have this video you can watch that's going to help correct that problem that you're having, so it's still very problem driven, but that's where it will be longer, is if it's like very curiosity driven in the Reel and they want more information, then you put that down below. But sometimes the Reel is enough in and of itself to just keep it short in that.
Gotcha.
Down below.
So, and I know that the overall strategy is to get them to comment for a link, but I'm curious, within the description caption part, are links active on Instagram or Facebook? If you were to put a link in there, is it clickable?
No, a lot of times it's not. Like you can, again, like I said, you can say, you can turn on the message where they can then send you a direct message. But what you're going to want to do is, that's why you want them to comment below, is because then they get sent, to send the link. If you don't do the autoresponder or the autoresponder, then if you have that set up, it does it for you. Gotcha. So, which is different than, LinkedIn and Facebook and some of the other things. You can just click it, which is not the same. So,
So the links in the DMs are clickable.
In the DMs, yes. Once you've commented, but in the body of the post underneath, like the Reel or the post, whatever Instagram thing you're doing, that will not be. So that's why you can turn on, like they can message you, but you can't like put a link in there and they can just click it easily. So it'll have to be in the comments.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just a quick question. So a lot of people who maybe they're not on Instagram, or they're on Instagram, but they don't have a huge following. Do these Reels bring in new followers, or if not, how do you get the followers? And then also, when you create a Reel, does it mainly just go to your own audience, or are you reaching new audiences with the Reels as well?
Good question. You're reaching new audiences, and that's what's so powerful about the Reel. So ultimately, like when I'm teaching my clients, it's okay, so put some Reels out, because that's going to go to everybody. And even within the Reel, like when you're creating the Reel, you can even underneath, as you go through it, it'll prompt you. You can clicked, okay, this is about health, this is about entrepreneurship, this is about whatever, and it will push to those audiences. So it brings in new people to come see your stuff. And if your stuff is good, they will follow you. And then you have new people. So it goes to your people you already have as well as everybody else. And that's why they're so powerful. So if you create reels, and also they stay and they keep working for you, there's that. You know, you create reels and then you're really engaged with the people who are watching your stories, then that's just an easy way to really nurture those clients or those, you know, new customers that you're wanting to turn into clients.
So schedule. Okay. This is something that everyone asks when they're like, okay, she's got me curious about reels and maybe I'm going to start playing with this. What is a good schedule to stick to or to start with?
Yeah. I would say to start with, only do 1 or 2 reels a week. Just because you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. If you can be consistent, I'm huge on, okay, so when you decide to do something new, commit to it. But commit to it in a way to where you're going to continually be able to do it. Because if you're like, all right, I'm all on reels and I'm going to schedule 7 every single day, I'm going to do a reel, more than likely you probably won't. And then you'll start having all that like self-betrayal and all that other crap that comes, you know, like the mindset work that needs to come into play. And so I'm like, okay, so right now what's hot is reels, and then stories are stories, obviously I've already said, but the carousel post that you can then repurpose from your reel. You can say the same stuff in like just a carousel post. So I would do 1 reel, do 1 carousel post for maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's only 4 weeks, whatever it is. And you're like, I can do more, then do more. Eventually, throwing out a reel every single day will be amazing for you. It will do tons for you, but you might not be there, right? Me today, I probably put out 4 reels a week. So I'm still not every single day. I do reels and then I also have a lot of posts that are just already scheduled to go out that mix in between my reels. So I have carousels and other things that are already going out. I have content days that I do all my stuff for the month. And then I know that's going. So then I just fill everything else in with creating a few reels and stories throughout the week. And I don't make it mean anything. If I like don't do it, I'm like, okay, it's fine. Now get yourself back up and let's create one. But it does not take very much time. So it is easy to implement. You just have to commit to it and then do it.
We've had other guests on that have kind of done similar strategies in Instagram and Facebook where they have some sort of a post that leads them to comment, and then comments lead to DMs, right? That's kind of a common theme that we see going on.
Yeah.
You're the first person that we've seen that just does this organically with Reels. Have you looked into, or have you tried running this? If you have a successful one that does well and then it kind of dies off after a while, have you thought about trying to run that as an ad? Because you can run ads in Reels. Have you tried doing it as an ad?
Okay, I have thought about that. I have not done it, but I am completely open to it. Yeah. Because that would be a way for it just to even work harder, right?
Right.
It could work. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've mentioned stories a few times. So we get, I think, the bigger picture on Reels. What should we be doing in stories?
Good question. You guys ask the best questions. I actually am like, wow, you guys do such a good job. I love it. So with stories, I have this acronym that I live by, because stories are all about, they are personal, meaning that it's up to you with how much you want to share. And I always want to look at my business. Okay, so this is a business. I'm going to share what I'm comfortable with. Some people share all of their life. That's not me. But it can be you if that's what you choose. But when you share your life and you share it from like an authentic place, people tune in. And when you do it from a curiosity place, like you're like, hey, something's coming, or I'm so excited for ... whatever. And then you lead to the next story, it keeps people watching. And as people watch your stories, again, your engagement goes up and your stories are more shown to more people within your network. Now, when it comes to stories, they do disappear. You can add them to your highlights, which they'll live forever, but they do disappear. And so that is good to note that as a marketing strategy, if you just say, okay, I am going to create 1 or 2 reels a week, and I am going to post stories consistently, 5 to 7 slides, even if it's at night, I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to just make sure this goes. You know that for 24 hours, if you're selling in your stories, that story is making offers for you for 24 hours. And then, the next 24, you're going to want to do it again. But as far as the acronym and what you should be putting in your stories, the acronym is, so stories, if you write it all the way down, straight line, S is share your life. So what's going on in your life and what's making your life, like, why is it interesting? Why do people want to tune in? And this is where I say you get to choose, because some people want to share a lot of things. Other people are very specific and strategic about what they share. And I would say I'm more like that, because I do want my life to be somewhat personal, but it is, I do have an interesting life. My boys are crazy. They're always jumping off like big building or big whatever things. They're jumping off things. They're like doing double flips. They're doing all the things. And I have a lot of kids. There's things that people find interesting about that, right? And then about my workouts and running marathons. So I share that. So S is share your life. T is teach your tips. So you're always teaching your tips about what it is that you do, which also threads to the next thing, which is your offers. You're always talking about your offers, and you can thread your offers, again, send them to a link, so you're sharing your life, you're teaching your tips, you're talking about your offers, you're sharing your offers, repurposing your content, which I've already talked about. So bring in stuff from other places. Did you do a podcast? Let's put it in your story. Did you have an interesting meeting with someone? Let's put it in your story. Like, repurpose things where you can, so that you don't have to continually, what am I going to share? What am I going to share? You want it to become easy and effortlessly. And the why is yes-simonials. That's what they call them, instead of testimony. Like, people that are saying yes to you. Like, people that are like raising their hand and saying yes to you, like the things that are happening in your business, your clients, like what's going on with your clients, how are you helping your clients, what just happened. I'm a huge believer that, like, the more we celebrate everybody, not just ourselves, but everybody, the more energy we are bringing to ourselves in that like positive energy of celebration. So always be celebrating. So again, just to run through them, it's share your life, teach your tips, post your offer, repurpose your content, and then your yes-simonials. Your yes-simonials. But with your stories, they're always threading to something, right? Like, you're not just like sharing crap here and there. It's, what is the reason? If you're building a business, what is your reason behind what you are selling? And then ask the questions like, why does my ideal client actually want to tune into this? How can I make this more curious? How can I make it more engaging? How can I be like a very interesting person so that they want to engage? Another tip that I have around this is, like, when you're looking really cute, take a bunch of videos, little clips, pictures, so that, on the days that you're not, you have stuff to post. So just make it easy. It can always be easy.
I love it. This is such good stuff. So how many stories a day are you suggesting?
You really only need 5 to 7. Always have at least 1 or 2. So bottom line, 1 or 2 stories, okay? But when you're threading something, like, because you can thread, just like I talked to with the Reels, you can be talking about your offer the entire time through your stories, and then with a link at the end. Like, comment, same thing, like comment with this word or whatever, the link, and then you can send them directly to the link. So you're always selling. And that's, think about it. Like, how many offers are you making? If you're not making offers, you're probably not making very much money. And offers can be made in so many different ways: paid ads, stories, Reels, word of mouth, but are you making them? You need to make sure that you're making them. So stories is another way that you can do it.
Yeah. So with stories, should these always be videos, or can you do still images too with text on them?
Both. And that is also an amazing question. You want your stories to be interesting, which means sometimes they're going to be video. Sometimes they are going to be a still image with words over it. Sometimes they're going to, people post stories of their food for whatever reason. Some people will comment on I post food. I'm like, why are you guys interested in this? I don't know, but somehow they are. So I'm like, here's my food. The other day I was running, and unfortunately I came across like a massive rattlesnake. I'm like, oh, we're filming this. We're putting this in my story for my long run today. That's very interesting. Does that have anything to do with my business? Nope. Other than I'm into health and wellness, right? But that was interesting. So it got people watching. So that has nothing really to do with it. But also it's, oh, Amy just ran into a rattlesnake. Oh, that's crazy. And then it creates like people wanting to like DM me like, oh my gosh, that was so freaky, or were you okay? Or, it just creates more conversation, which creates more exposure.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. If people want to check you out and learn more about you, where should they head?
My Instagram, which is just Coach Amy Sanders. We just talked about Instagram a lot. So, yep, Coach Amy Sanders. And then also my website is amysanders.co. So, those are the best ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us. This has been awesome.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I've loved it and enjoyed it. So, thanks.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.